Hi guys, Squirrel here, and welcome back to some Derail Valley Simulator. Now, if we were doing this properly, we'd be slowing down about now for this 40k bend coming up. It's a bit of a sharp turn, but today, we're not doing things properly. Oh dear. Today, we're focusing on explosions. This is kind of a big deal. Most train simulators don't tend to even show explosions, yet alone damage. They're not supposed to happen. The whole point is that you as the train driver keep the train on the rails. Things aren't supposed to go wrong, but this is Derail Valley. And the devs have gone one step further. Not only do they show you explosions, but they're actually simulating how they happen, the physics and the chemistry behind it. As you're about to see, we have a lot of tools available to make a lot of different catastrophes happen as well. So sit back, relax, and please, don't try this at home. Now, there are various petrochemical products in Derail Valley Simulator. For example, crude oil, diesel, gasoline, and then there's some other byproducts like alcohol, methane, ammonia, etc. What we've got here, we're in sandbox mode. I've spawned 3 containers, and they're all filled with crude oil. Now, because we're in sandbox mode, we can deliberately damage things. Normally, you would damage things by, hitting them too hard, or if you derail, they might get damaged, etc. But in sandbox mode, we can deliberately damage these tankers. So that's what we're going to do. We'll damage that one, and that one. Now, damaged tankers have a tendency to leak, and you can see what's happening here. They're leaking crude oil all over the terrain. But look what's happening. It's modeling the fact that there's a leak on the terrain. You can see it's being tarnished. And the liquid actually tends to run downhill. So what you're seeing here is the liquid pouring down the landscape. Now, diesel and crude oil, which we've got here, are flammable. They don't explode, but they are flammable in Derail Valley. And what we can actually do is set fire to things. And what you'll then notice is the fire propagates back towards the tankers, and the tankers are now spewing flames everywhere. That tendency of fire to move across the terrain and between tankers is a rather cool thing in Derail Valley. That one's not caught yet. There it goes. And that will now ignite the ground. Right, different setup this time. Here we have a tanker of ammonia. Ammonia is not flammable, not explosive, but it is very toxic. And this will behave differently if we damage it. So if we set that to 50% damage, we've created a leak. And we can see that this cannot be set fire to, will not explode. However, ammonia, it is a toxic chemical, and in the game it shows that by showing this cloud of gas. This is a tanker of gasoline. This is flammable, and it is explosive. So we'll create a leak on that, and then we'll get our lighter out, we'll set fire to it, and then we'll stand back, because what's going to happen next, well, it's going to explode. And there it goes. Now, because the handbrake wasn't on the car, when it exploded, it also simulated the physics aspect of that explosion, and it propelled forward. It also set fire to the terrain. Now, that leads to some interesting possibilities for combinations. We've already seen that liquids behave in different ways. So, with diesel and crude oil, which is in the black tankers on the right, they will catch fire, but they don't explode. Whereas something like gasoline, which is in the yellow tankers on the left, they catch fire and they explode. The question is, how does fire spread? Will it spread from one set of tankers to another? Well, let's find out. Right, so we'll introduce some damage to this gasoline tanker here. Go and find the leak. Come on. There it goes. And we'll stand well back. We know that's going to explode. But the question is, what will it do to the rest of the tankers? So what actually happens is explosion not only knocked over these diesel tankers, it ruptured them. And the rupture caused them to catch fire because there's fire everywhere. Look, it's spread all around the area. It's scorching the ground. So the damage from one tanker alone can actually spread, depending on where you are, across the yard and be very expensive if you're in career mode. Now, you may be wondering, well, how do these explosions happen? Well, accidents happen. You've already seen a crash around a bend. Here's another scenario. I'm at speed, coming through some Orwell Central at night, and I've set my points wrong because it's misty, or I just missed it. And what happens next? Of course, the train goes off down the wrong track. And you know what this is going to be like. This is going to get very messy and very expensive. It happens. This is Derail Valley. Interestingly enough, and you may not know this, but I've put the rain up. And the rain actually puts the fire out on the ground. Give it some time. There you go. You give it a little bit of time, and the fire is put out. There are many details that we've not covered, such as nitrogen will help to put out fires and oxygen will help to create fires. But just to end things, I thought we'd have a bit of fun and smash two trains into each other at high speed. That is going to be an expensive insurance claim. There are, of course, other possibilities that we haven't looked at, such as the nuclear flasks, which, if ruptured, can create toxic waste across the ground. In the next videos, guys, I want to start taking a look at the more simulation side of things, beginning with a look at brakes and the braking systems and how they work in Derail Valley Simulator. Very different to how they've worked before. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Take care and happy training.